Hey guys, shout out to everybody in the chat. How's everyone doing? Let me see who's in the chat. We have Miss Dailies. Ooh, I have another device here. Give me one sec. Need to make sure it's muted. Shout out to everyone that's coming in. Thank you. Let's see. Sorry guys, I just gotta make sure that this one's muted because I don't want to echo and I hate when it echoes. How's everyone doing? Hope you guys had a great, I don't know, are having a great week overall. It's been a little bit busy for me. I'm having my coffee right here. I don't know what you guys are drinking on. Curious to know. Let me know in the chat. Thank you everyone for watching. So everybody's talking about the serial killer in Stockton, right? I used to live in the area, so I've been watching it. Shout out to Ikmel. He's been covering it extensively, right? Great coverage. But I wanted to talk about the interview with the survivor, okay? Because that interview was very interesting, and there were so many issues that were brought up that I think not just for Stockton police, but for every community that needs to be aware, right? That, typically people that, whether it's the homeless population, prostitutes or any sex workers or runaway youth, these people are targets for serial killing. I don't know if anybody's picked up the theme. I know we talk a lot about, right now Jeffrey Dahmer is trending. I'm not a like I personally as someone that studied criminology and the forensics behind it, I have a hard time watching some of that stuff because and people will talk about it here. You have Halloween that's coming close to it, right? So it kind of glorifies it a little bit. To me, I can't do that, right? Like I can't when people say, "What's your favorite serial killer?" I don't look at anybody as being a favorite anything. These people killed people, right? And there's so many unsolved crimes out there because of the targets that they have. So for me, I feel like we need to understand that there's nothing to be like sensationalized behind that. That we really need to talk about like the victims, right? What happened and what is owed to them? What restitution do you give to them when somebody like what is it, John Wayne Gacy? Like, how do you repair families and how do you help out versus what's your favorite serial killer? There's some serial killers out there that are interesting. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't say that I have a favorite, right? And so then you have this Stockton serial killer that's out there victimizing people and doing what, just crazy stuff. And what I'm concerned is that some of these voices need to be heard and we need to share, right? So this woman is her name is Natasha, and she was shot 10 times on April 16th of 2021 in an unprovoked attack at the train tracks on Park and Union Street in downtown Stockton. The gun used and assailant who fired it was linked with the homicide of a homeless Mexican man in Oakland on April 10th on 2021. She survived, and 14 months later, the same gun and killer would murder five more people in North Stockton between July and September of 2022. She says she feels victimized by the system because she was homeless at the time and says police did not contact her since the shooting to interview her until the day of this interview. So her name is Natasha, and she was interviewed. 18 months later, after five more victims were killed, the killer or killers are still at large, as a reward for their capture has ballooned to 125,000 as of October 5th, 2022. And this is her story. What do you guys think? Because like I said, we sensationalize this whole Jeffrey Dahmer thing, but serial killers exist. There's so many victims that are out there, people that go missing that are not found, right? We tend to find those missing pieces, puzzles later, years later after bodies are found, or maybe somebody gives a confession, right? And so this woman right here, I think, makes such a good point, right? Where because she's homeless, drug addiction, whatever the situation might have been, immediately she was looked as somebody that, shit happens, right? It's normal. It's normal to have somebody shoot you, 10 or 14 times and not have the police follow up with you and then decide, well, you might be a good piece of the puzzle because you're connected to all these other killings. I can only imagine, and shout out to Natasha, and I don't think she watches our channel, so, but if she does, and if you guys know her, shout out to her, and, she's a survivor of this, and she needs to be celebrated for it because I can only imagine the scariness of this. Number one, being homeless, and then also being a target of an attack, by a serial killer. I mean, you're shooting somebody that many times, you don't want them to survive. You do not want them to survive 10 times? Yeah, no. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this and do a little commentary to it. You guys commentary to it. You let me know what you think in the comments about the situation. Again, her name is Natasha, and she survived the Stockton serial killer.
Hello, my name is Motek Sanchez, and today I'm sitting with a special guest in an exclusive interview she's reached out to 209 times to do. With me today is Natasha Latour, the only known survivor of the serial killer that has been killing people in Stockton, one person in Oakland. She was actually the second victim, and she was shot on April 16th, 2021, 18 months ago, from the time that the police did a press conference announcing that there was a serial killer at work in our city. So I wanted to take the time, give you the opportunity to tell your story. First of all, happy to have you here.
Thank you, thank you.
And by that, I don't just mean here in the interview, but on this planet.
Right, thank you.
I think a lot of people would consider you a very lucky woman, although under unlucky circumstances, right?
Yeah.
But I think when they hear your story and the details of it, I think they'll have a clear picture of why I say that. So if you could please tell us about yourself, take us back to the night that you were encountered by this individual that shot you multiple times.
Okay, well, I was homeless at the time, and I was a drug addict. I mean, I still am, but I'm recovered now, and I was in my normal everyday life. I went to my storage unit, and then I got dressed and changed, and then I went and bought a brand new sweater, and then I went over to Park and Union, the railroad tracks, a place where I always used to go, and it was about, I don't know, 3:30 in the morning, and the train sound came, so I knew a train was going to be coming, and then the train started to come towards me. I mean, I was on the side, and then a man came around the corner, or whoever came around the corner, and they already had the gun out, and they just started shooting.
What at that moment, what caught your attention to turn around and see the person pointing a gun at you?
So I was standing sideways towards the bushes, away from traffic, and it's a one-way, and I heard like gravel. It was before the train was rolling, and so I turned and I said, "What the fuck?" I mean, and there was no words exchanged. Didn't say anything. Didn't come any closer. Just started shooting. I just saw flashes. I mean, and then knowing that it was either the moving train or like some ridiculous high ass fence that I couldn't even attempt to climb with no no slats in the, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and behind me an open field. So I ran towards them, knowing that I'd have to get closer to the street if I wanted to survive. And then as I did that, then he got down like a movie star pose. You know what I mean? Because at first he was just holding it like a thug, and I was really hoping his aim was gonna be off, because he was like like that. You know what I mean? And then as I went towards him, then
This seems like it was target practice for this person. If you think about it, they held the gun like this, and then they went like this, right? This is just crazy how she's describing it. And I mean, good thing she survived. Shout out to everybody in the chat that's just now coming in and making sure that I greet everyone as you're coming in. We're reviewing the interview of the survivor from the serial killer that's currently in Stockton, California. Now, let me share a little something with you guys. I actually used to live in Chowchilla, California. I lived there for a couple years. I also have relatives in that area too, as well as Madera, Merced. I know the area fairly well of where these targets are happening. In Stockton, Modesto, all those areas. The train there's it's like a huge train area, that area. So a lot of homes, I remember distinctly, a lot of our houses that we moved around when we were there were always near a train. So you have a huge homeless population in the track area, and so that does kind of like happen where people get attacked there all the time. You're also in California. Oh my God, I have Yaya who says, "Sounds like it." Oh, poor lady. Yeah, Yaya says she's about 20 minutes, an hour from me, and about 20 minutes from my daughter. You guys be safe out there, please. This is nothing, in my opinion, to glorify. Like, I know we talk about serial killers and all that other shit. I was hearing another channel saying, well, what's your favorite serial killer? This is nothing to be favorite about. These are people that are sick, okay, and they're attacking. These are people's real lives. And I just always feel some type of way about it because, especially in the media, right? When you're watching this Netflix documentary, those are actual families and victims that were impacted by Jeffrey Dahmer. These are actual people that are impacted by this serial killer. It's horrendous. Nothing to be like. I'm just saying, as someone that feels some type of way about this topic, given that I studied the behavioral science of it. It's nothing to give any glory to. I don't like any of this shit whatsoever, period. But let's keep watching, and shout out to Natasha, who is a survivor of this.
Then you got down like with two, and then it became my height.
Okay. So how would you describe the person that shot you?
I've described him. Okay, so the same way that I described him to the police way back in April. Actually, the first time I spoke with the police was in May. So he had on dark colored pants, not black, but dark colored pants. I don't know if they were jeans or sweat material. He had an open hoodie that was either navy blue or black, and he had a COVID mask on that was worn like perfectly, and it went across the bridge of his nose right over here. I didn't see the ear part, and so the top part of the hood was like a fitted, kind of, and then but then like loose. It looked like the damn Unabomber, man. Looked like the Unabomber, except for without without the glasses. I mean, and the sweater was unzipped, so it looked like he like just threw it on, like he was gonna go do something real quick. I mean, so if he was to run, then it would come off his head.
Okay. And you think he was a male?
I think it was a male.
About what height would you say from your recollection?
I'm not sure. I mean, he was taller than me, and I don't know what am I? I'm 5'6", I think. He's taller than me.
So I'm 6 feet. Would you say my height? About my height? Shorter.
About your height?
Okay.
Yeah, about your height. But then when I went down like this, and then he went down, we were the same height.
Okay.
I'm wondering if these are some of these questions that maybe police had asked her already. If so, what's a report? Because it sounds like they had initially kind of just said, well, she's homeless and she was in an area where maybe there might have been a lot of crime at the time. I'm not really sure. It sounds to me also that there was a disservice, right? Like the system itself victimized Natasha because they didn't hear her out. It took them to find the weapon to determine, oh, she was also attacked and she's a survivor. This information could have been gathered at the time that this happened. When I'm just thinking of like serial killers in the past, right? Who do they attack? Who do they attack? People that, streetwalkers, right? You have prostitution, you have missing women, maybe women that they meet online on Craigslist, women that they feel like are not going to be like women, men, and I'll say men as well, because even men are very huge targets of this. That they feel like, oh, they're not going to be missed. They're not going to be any. I'm just kind of curious to know, like, these are things that could have been captured along, and now you got like all these other killings now. Had they done something here right, maybe we could have prevented something. That's really my question. If anybody's in that area, please be careful. I have Marsha here who says this is near me. You guys got to be very careful. You know, get your stuff on. Yes, serial killers should not be glorified. And I'm not coming here to tell anybody what the fuck to do or anything like that. But this is real. There are victims out there that have been hurt, families destroyed over this. You have to think about it as if it happened to you, okay? If Natasha was your family, all right, or if something like this is just a nightmare, right? But this is real. And so, you have the media and even social media that'll glorify some of this stuff. You have to, just be considerate of it, right? Note that there are actual victims. Hello, Rabbit. This person, yeah, this is a person that had she survived. She was shot 10 times. She survived. So she's giving us some of that information out here in this interview. And this, by the way, is the 209 Times channel. And I'm going to make sure I link his information in the description box. It's a very small channel. This has not gotten a whole lot of views. It needs to have a lot of views because people need to know what's been said in that area. Their Facebook page is a lot bigger though, so maybe people are hearing the story through there.
So and then after that, like I fell to the ground, and you know, the train was passing, you know what I mean, and I was about 50 yards in, and can I tell the part about my grandmother's, because that's what
Most
happened.
definitely.
Okay, so it sounds crazy, but the truth is that my grandmother's voices, I didn't see them, you know what I mean, but because I wanted to lay down, I just wanted to go to sleep. I mean, there's a burning it's incredible. You're wet all over. You don't know why you're wet. But I was really happy that my legs moved. But every time I moved my legs, I was getting wetter and wetter. And I knew I was dying. You know, I mean, I was asking people for help that were there, not visible, but they were there because their camp was there.
They were there in their tents at the time along the fence line?
Yeah, further down, for like another 50 yards down.
Okay.
But and I don't.
Yeah, Black Eagle, I don't know if she's transgender. I mean, that you're being respectful. I think it's a respectful question to ask, right? I don't see that as a problem. I don't know if she is. Throughout this interview, I mean, she talks about having a partner, so take that as it may. And not that it's a good, like, I don't know if it really necessarily matters, but I really don't know if she is or she isn't. Definitely, Angie, I would agree that you have to have people that study that profession a little bit more to grow, to understand the psychology behind a serial killer, right? Somebody who targets. The way this woman is describing what happened, it literally seems like he was doing target practice, like he was just shooting, like he had unlimited ammo, hunting, kind of that type of thing, right? Weapon this way, weapon this way. And then he kneels just to make sure that he aims at her. He didn't give a shit about her. Like he's not checking. He's just shooting. So it's definitely a serious matter. Oh, and you know what, Black Eagle, you're probably right. Maybe her gender had something to do, but it's also the fact that she was homeless at the time. So she's in an area where there was, a lot of homelessness in that area. And being homeless, I mean, clearly you're a victim. You could be a victim of various crimes that happens to you because of, the area that you're at or the circumstance that you might be. Definitely. So you're very vulnerable to the elements of being homeless or whatever your job may be. Say that you're a sex worker. That could also very much make you, vulnerable to the job. Okay. But definitely, and I would agree, law enforcement plays a huge role here.
I mean, did they heard anything? But when a train leaves anywhere, any city, any town, it's dead silent. Mm-hmm. And I mean, and they heard me asking for help, and they later on apologized. But so I fell down, and my grandmother's, their voices came, and I had my one grandmother, Marie Celestine. She had a house around Pilgrim Street for like 42 years, and I would go out of the bathroom, and I would see her in her room praying, and I'd look back and then kind of tease her and say, "Grandmother, you still praying?" And she'd say, "I pray for my children. It's the first thing I heard when I fell down."
So just to explain to our audience, when you say you heard your grandmother's voices, your grandmothers are no longer on earth, correct?
Correct. So they told me and then my mom's mom, which is like one of my favorite people in the whole world, she told me, move, girl, move. So I crawled out to the street. The detective later told me that I was scooting on my back because she's got a video. So I was scooting on my back, and I got to the street, and then I said, as clear as day, I know it's scary. You can keep yourself out of harm's way, but please call 911. I'm dying. And there was no response. And there's no response because you don't hear any sirens. And then the car, I mean, I positioned myself on the tracks because I was really contemplating whether I'd let a train hit me or, you don't know if this person's coming back. I mean, and I remember feeling really, really, really bad because I know that that's a one-way coming from like the Food Plus area, which is like the only supermarket in that area.
Yes.
And so I had positioned myself, there's like a little hump right there, and I had to position myself to where a car may hit me accidentally, and I don't want them to feel bad.
Wow.
Yeah,
So how were you found? Was it by a car?
I didn't want to move my legs anymore, so I was moving my arm. And I was yelling and screaming for help. And like I said, I'm very familiar with the area. I knew nobody was going to hear me, and the people that were hearing me weren't responding. And so I heard a car come by me, and I heard a woman say, the fuck there's not, look. I mean, and then I heard like a door open or close, and then I can tell that they went down a distance, and I heard some man say, I'm right here. I'm calling 911 for you, mija, don't worry.
Okay.
So I mean, I must have been Mexican.
Samaritan.
Must have been Mexican.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
they thought you were Mexican.
Rolled through that. I was Mexican all the way around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so yes. I mean, whoever you are, thank you so much. You know what I mean? Thank you so much for that, because
so that passerby with it sounds like a man and a woman.
I heard a female's voice. Yeah,
they saved your life by calling.
Yeah, definitely. And so while that's happening, and then I laid there, and then the breaths became real short. They became real short, and then it was just a few minutes later the police were there, and then another train went by. When the police were there, I had enough oxygen to tell them that's my backpack. I didn't want the killer to get my backpack. And I always knew that there was nothing personal because I didn't do anything to anybody. I mean, I didn't have an altercation. I don't roll like that. I don't have any problems. And so it was.
So it's completely unprovoked and a surprise.
Unprovoked. No robbery. No words. No nothing. But the person was prepared. They didn't walk away. They didn't pull the gun anywhere. It was already out. When they dipped that corner, it was out, and it was pointed at me. I mean, and you're thinking like, what's going on? So, and then you expect for it to be embedded in other people to call 911 for you, and that's not embedded. So everybody, you got to know that. They don't. And then after, I laid there in the middle of the street, and then I realized why I was there, why my grandmother's left me there. It was I had one more call left, so I called Jesus. Man.
Can you imagine I'm assuming shot 10 times, bleeding out, not knowing kind of what's going to happen, not being able to move. Like, I'm even getting a little worked up listening to her. Miss Daly says, just because someone is homeless doesn't make them useless. Everyone has a story. Absolutely. But it definitely doesn't make them useless whatsoever. Homelessness can happen to just about anybody. Anybody can become homeless. It only takes one time, one circumstance for somebody to become homeless. A bad financial decision, tragedy, anything can happen. Nobody is safe from that, right? So definitely we have to look out for our people that are homeless, okay? And I'm not talking about go out there and, rescue everyone, right? But really think about, like, whether it's offering your time, volunteering, cooking, doing something to offer food, and stop the fucking judgments of homeless people. Like, don't be so quick to judge about their circumstances, because you really don't know what even got them there, right? My dad used to buy, I'll never forget, when I was younger, he used to feed the homeless, right? And I mean, he wasn't like cooking food. He would go to the McDonald's menu and buy maybe 50 like sausage McMuffins, and he would hand them out. He would just go and hand them out, and it would just be something that he would do just for the hell of it. And he wouldn't ask questions. When people ask you for money, like, there's a lot, even myself, I may have preconceived notions of the woman that's standing there every day in that corner, right? But I've never really sat down and evaluated, like, what got them there. Are there people out there that, fuck the system up? Absolutely. But we need to be able to understand that everybody has a different circumstances, and we may not be privy to the story, nor should we, right? But homelessness is real, and so they are a vulnerable population out there because they're exposed to the elements, such as serial killers, such as people that are out there to really hurt the community, right? So I do feel some type of way about this, and even seeing her get worked up kind of gets me worked up. So shout out to Natasha.
I know this is a super emotional experience for you, and I know when you reached out to 209 Times, you did so because you wanted to share your story, and you wanted more people to know that you're a survivor. How many times were you shot?
The whole process, I never clearly knew, because you ask questions, you don't get any answers. I was literally cutting and pasting. I had to get my medical records, and I had to cut and paste to find out what these procedures were. So I'd be like, in the motel room, like, laparoscopy, what the, and then cut and paste that, and I'm like, what? It's just, I didn't know what was happening. So, and I was told in the hospital that they took 7 bullets out. I'm sorry, six bullets out, and then one was removed from. One popped out of here, just two bullets inside me, and then one right here. But then they told me that there were 7 bullets taken out. So I don't know.
Okay. So around 10 times, 9 to 10
times. 9 or 10 times. And this would so it'd be like 9 shots, and then this will be the grays. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or the 9th. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But so after I had I called Jesus, and then there's a burn. Anybody that's ever been shot, they know that it's a crazy burn. It's a burn that makes you sick. You could throw up and everything else. But all that pain was gone. I didn't hurt anymore. And I asked him to sit with me. I asked him to lay down with me. I told him I was dying, like he didn't know. You know what I mean? And then I asked him to just never leave. I mean, and he never has.
So tell me about your recovery. So now you're in the hospital.
So I'm in the
you wake
yeah.
up. Did you ever lose consciousness?
I'm sure I woke up 4 days later.
Okay.
I mean, from what I remember, and speaking to somebody, I woke up 4 days later. Now, whether I was up in between time, I don't know. I was awake, but I know that I was also withdrawing from drugs. 20 years worth of drugs. You know what I mean? So I woke up. There's a tube down my throat. There's my hands are tied. You know, your arms are tied down. That's how they do. I mean, and I wiggled my toes and wiggled my fingers, and then I smiled. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I mean, and you start to recalculate what happened. And I had nightmares from that point on until I started working.
So tell us about your, in addition to your recovery, what was the response like from law enforcement? Take us through the process.
Okay, so when I woke up, like all the movies that we've all seen.
That's just a lot. I'm so sorry, Christina, for your loss. You know, thank you for sharing. I'm so sorry that happened to you. Um, Black Eagle says exactly. Go through your things and fill out plastic bags with socks. Pass them out. Yeah, definitely. We used to do also like socks, toothpaste, little things like that. Maybe even a gift card or whatever, in little plastic bags. But yeah, I mean that's a way to kind of help, especially if you live in an area where it snows or it's winter, it's really cold, or you know, temperature wise it changes. When it's hot, even buying like water bottles, stuff like that. The homeless community is at high risk of people taking advantage. This poor woman, I can't imagine, right? So if you can imagine, you know, she's talking about having a drug problem that, you know, might have led her there. I really don't know, and that's her story to tell, right? But I would imagine that this person, the serial killer, has targeted people, and literally for her to have been shot that way, it was like he was making target practice on this woman and anybody else, anybody that was there. That could have been anybody's relative, friend, child, husband, wife. Like it's just a sad situation.
That it doesn't work out like that. There was nobody there. They never came to visit me. This morning was the first time law enforcement ever came to see me and ever took a statement. I actually had to go to them when I had enough oxygen to get to them. The first time, the detective, can I say his name?
Sure.
Detective Almanza, who is no longer, I understand, with the police department, which is rightfully so because he doesn't need to be a police officer.
So I know you sent us a copy of the police report.
Yes.
And there's some statements that they said you gave as far as the description of the shooter wearing a dark hoodie, and some other descriptors that you gave in there. Was that the night of or the time they were taking you to the hospital, or are you saying?
So the police officers, two of them showed up first, and I was on the ground, like, you know, kind of like
on the scene.
Yeah, on the scene. They came before the EMTs,
Okay.
and so I was like rolling. I mean, like, you know, not rolling around, but kind of like moving around because I was burning up hot. And I had asked one of them looked down at me, and he said, you know, with this tone, you know, what are you doing? And I said, I'm really hot. I'm trying to take this off, not remembering that I had a zipper on. And honestly, I didn't register why I was hot. I was just burning up hot. I mean, you just want to be like completely naked. You know what I mean? And so he said, you know, what are you doing? I said, I'm trying to take this off. Can you help me? And his response was, we can't touch you. Wow. And he said it like I was trash. You know what I mean? And then and so I was thinking, okay, but you could put your knee on my neck.
So do you feel like you were treated a certain way because you were homeless at the time?
Yeah. I mean, but I didn't have time to feel that way because I was honestly, truly, I was consumed with the love of Jesus, really. And, you know, he took over. I mean, I just asked him. I said, please don't let my mother find my body here. And then I just, you know, if I was to be given another chance, I promised to try to love myself a little bit more like you. And then when the ambulance came, I called my little boot sliders because I heard a boot come up and it slid next to me. And then I remember screaming one more time, and then them saying, okay, you know, we needed that, I guess, for them to know what was hurting, what was, I mean, lift me up. And I was on the in the hospital. I mean, in the ambulance, thinking that I was going to die, and I was okay with that.
So you're saying that from the time you were shot on April 16th at 3:20 a.m. 2021 to this morning, that was the first time you've ever spoken to a detective since the actual shooting?
No, I spoke to them in May. Mind you, I called them.
Oh, May of 2021?
Yes, correct. But I called them. So I got out of the hospital. I was there from April 16th when it happened for 12 days. Okay, so I got out of the hospital, and then I immediately called the numbers that I had. I had a victim witness number, and then I never knew who the police officer was because inside of my bag that my uncle gave me, there was my police property were my pants that were ripped up, and in the bag was at the bottom of the bag there was a card from a police officer, and I still have the card. It was Field Officer Hayden, And so I thought, of course, that he was the detective, and no, he wasn't. And they actually had to assign a detective, and they did that once I got to the office. They assigned a detective for me. And so when I spoke with him, he came out. I mean, and I was able to get to him because he never came to my room when I asked him to come to the room I was staying at, the Stay in Suites. He never came to visit me.
So let me remind everybody why this is important, okay? And why, okay, so Natasha, she was shot 10 times. She did not provoke this attack, okay? And the attack happened at the train tracks, all right? On Park and Union Street, downtown Stockton. The gun that she was shot with, okay? The gun was used. The gun used, an assailant who fired it was linked with a homicide of a homeless Mexican man in Oakland. She survived. 14 months later, the same gun and killer would murder 5 more people in the North Stockton area. Okay, so Natasha is feeling victimized by the system because she was homeless at the time, and says that police did not contact her since the shooting to interview her until the day of this interview. This interview right there. Okay? So then the killer and the killers are still at large. So could my question, could this have been prevented? Could this have been prevented? Curious. What do you guys think in the chat?
Or to me, and I said, is this normal? Do you? And they go, well, no, what can you tell us about it? They basically treated me as if it was a drug deal gone bad, as if I knew something, that that I wasn't sharing. And so throughout this process, throughout this whole, ever since April, ever since I got out of the hospital, it was a constant me trying to reach them. I've had the same number for over a year. I gave it to them when it changed, and when I reached out to you guys, I never gave you my address. But then all of a sudden today, they called me up when I'm at my mother-in-law's house, and they're saying that oh, we just left your house. We wanted to speak with you. And I didn't give you my address. Well, how they have my address? No, they've been having it for a year. Wow. I've been there for a year in the same place. The manager where I live can attest to that. The numbers have been the same. I've written them down. It says number change, and I write it down. The advocate has my number. They assisted me not at all. And then he told me that when I went down there again, they told me that to try to get my backpack because I wanted to get the key to my storage. I didn't want to have to pay for a storage lock. When you give it, and I met him 4 times, or I was supposed to meet him 4 times. He never showed up.
This was in May of 2021.
This is like throughout. This was in May, and this is in June. This is in July
2021.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay, so then I was I recently tried to get a hold of them again for victim witness because I thought I was going to have to move out of the building that I'm living in. And they never responded. And so what happened was I saw my cousin of mine had put up that there was a serial killer. I'm like, a serial killer, you know what I'm saying? And so I looked.
This is now a year later.
Yeah.
Or that was in 2021 or just
no. This is a few days ago.
Okay, so yeah, we first announced there was a serial killer in Stockton 6 days ago.
Yeah. Okay, so this would be maybe 4 days ago.
Okay.
I said, I hit her up, what do you mean the serial killer? She goes, no, yeah, look, and so I check it out, and then I said to myself, well, these are the same circumstances, and then I always knew that I would have to fight for something. God was preparing me to do something, and I didn't know what it was. I've been trying to write about my experience, and then all of a sudden I got writer's block. And now I know why, because the story wasn't over yet. And so when I saw that you guys posted that, I said, you know what, I'm going to go to the police department on my next day off. I'm going to get a copy of the report, and I'm going to go back down there. Because now maybe you'll listen to me. I've been, sober this whole time. I've been, because I was, I may have, I got sober, 2 days on the 29th, but technically you can't say your sobriety date until it's like 2 days after your last intentional use. So it's May 1st of 2021. I've been sober since then.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. And I was just basically treated like a drug addict. I was actually told, well, when you sober up, maybe when you get more sober, maybe you'll remember more things. And it was a constant, okay, well, there's no response at all, no communication.
And what were you told? What were you told back then that you mentioned that you were told something by the detective?
Okay, so Detective Almanza, he looked at me and he came out and he gave me the knuckles, and then he was like, congratulations, you fought for your life. I saw you, you made it. I said, thank you. And I said, how'd you see me? I said, what do you mean you saw me? He said, well, I saw the video. I said, what do you mean there's a video? And I asked to see the video on several occasions. I asked to see the video up to 3 months ago from a therapist that I finally got, and I gave her a release of information so she can contact victim witness. So it was never I was never able to see it, but I always wanted to see it. I said, they didn't think that jogged my memory. They never gave me a chance to see it. But he told me that there was he said, well, the gun is linked to a homicide in the East Bay. And I said, okay.
So this is the one now that they're announcing is linked. There's a homicide in Oakland.
So I told you, I mean, that information I've had.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I mean, and so I always thought, well, that's odd. You know what I mean?
So when you were told that back in the spring of 2021, that year,
I was told that in June, because I had to have my ID. That's why I know it was June. I had to have
of 2022,
2021. 2021.
So for over a year, they knew that your shooting, attempted murder, was linked to a murder in Oakland.
Yes, I mean, and which means, so the first one here in Stockton, not the first attempt, but the first one here in Stockton in July, right?
Of 22.
Of 22. That means that they've had this information and they didn't share it with the public. They didn't warn the public. So basically, I'm here. I mean, one of the reasons I'm here is, and one of the reasons I contacted you is because you busted it open. I figured that you'd help, let them know what's going on. And that basically 5 people died because they didn't listen to me.
Wow.
I mean, they didn't offer to. I mean, I told them other details that I shouldn't share right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we discussed that.
We don't want to, just so the audience knows that there are certain details that we've agreed not to disclose for the sake of investigative integrity.
Yeah.
Wow. Yes, there are multiple active serial killers in the U.S. It's scary out there. Black Eagle says, holy, can you imagine surviving all of that and finally seeing a detective thinking justice had arrived and then have them treat you like you're guilty after being shot 10 times? Yeah. Miss Daly said that the cops should have asked questions ASAP. Now they regret it because the news is talking about it. This is why she is on this channel. Police doesn't want her to speak. Shout out to the channel. Yes. Go subscribe to the 209 Times, guys. They're the ones that broke the story. They broke it on Facebook, and then they have a YouTube channel as well. So from this tragedy, some good. Glad to hear about it. Shout out to everybody that's, to anybody that's dealing with sobriety and is sober. Shout out to you for hanging on. The Stockton killer seems to be escalating. I just pray that law enforcement finds this person before they can hurt anyone else. Yeah. Beth says, shot 10 times, cops not interested. Exactly, Beth. That's my thought. So freaking sad. These detectives would have treated Natasha like a human being instead of a piece of trash. She may have shared all of this info, and they are now, they would have gotten the scum, right? Basically. Not to be that guy, but she's sued for discrimination. They could have acted sooner. I mean, I don't know. Clean and sober. Congratulations, Black Eagle, and anybody else that's clean and sober. Okay. Shout out to you in that journey. Definitely. What can we do? What can we do when we hear these stories? You can share this live. You can, matter of fact, share that channel, share their Facebook, share their information. Share it with your people on Facebook, on your social media platforms. Share. That's what you can do. Because the thing is, I can completely understand where law enforcement says we don't want to cause mass hysteria, right, within everyone, okay? But I would also imagine, too, that some of this stuff could have been prevented. This doesn't quite make sense. Absolutely. Hey, Callie Dime, welcome. Almost sober, 11 years. Congratulations, RL. Saucy Sauce says, I haven't drank alcohol for one. Congratulations to you, everyone. You guys are awesome. Keep it up, because that shit is hard. I'm telling you, it's hard. So shout out to you and keep it pushing.
But but the knowledge of, I mean, of, they knew. I mean, I didn't know that you knew. You know what I mean? And so it's when I said that, and then you asked me back, well, what do you know? What do you talk? You got to filter me out and figure out if I'm a weirdo or not. I mean, and then I'm like, well, yeah, that's. I mean, just as sure as you were on the phone, I was. Like, I think I'm that person too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We knew there was a 7th victim, but we didn't know the circumstances, and we did not know it was an actual attempted murder where a person was shot essentially 9 or 10 times. That's something that my staff, they post homicides and attempted shootings on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. This is not something that I remember ever coming across.
No, I was going crazy looking for it.
I was never made public.
No, I asked him. I asked him. Are you guys gonna? I even asked the advocate. Are you gonna say anything about this? I mean, there's people that are walking. This is food for less. Mm-hmm. You're going to food for less. You're coming back and forth. I mean, and because we think it's okay to walk right there, it's not. Yeah. People get shot for no reason. Mm-hmm. No, they never said anything to anybody. They just kept it. Which maybe that's why I thought there must be some more people. Because they just kept it. And they just waited for me to tell my my truth, which was nothing. I don't know anything. I didn't know anything. Mm-hmm. I gave them the information. I tried to follow up on the case. They gave me nothing. They treated me like I was just some homeless drug addict. It had nothing, nothing to to give, and they didn't know any kind of explanation.
So you feel like that they just at the time could not believe that somebody would just come up and randomly shoot you that many times for no reason?
I don't know if they believed it. I mean, or not. But what I do know and what's been made very apparent is they just didn't care.
Okay.
I mean, to be honest with you, like, it shows me, it's kind of clear, it's painfully clear that they didn't care because it took you to bust it out.
So speaking of that, we made the announcement essentially 18 months after you were shot, and you were the first attempted victim in Stockton. The first homicide they've confirmed happened April 10th, 2021 in Oakland, and then 6 days later, the shooter attempted to take your life.
Yes.
So here we are 18 months later. Now it's national, international news.
And the PC code barely changed. I mean, I asked him today, I said, this aggravated assault is going to be changed to attempted homicide, right?
So they weren't even, so you were shot nearly 10 times and they weren't even trying to charge with attempted murder?
I went yesterday and I got I asked my wards work, I needed an updated police report because I wanted to show you an updated one. It wasn't wrinkled. I mean, and there was nothing changed on the report. It was still an aggravated assault. And so I contacted my sister and she does investigations with the California Department of Corrections. And I contacted her and I told her, hey, what's up with this? Why does it still say aggravated, assault? And she goes, that's not right. And don't worry about that because the PC code's changed, but it's attempted murder. And I said, okay, so I didn't want you to think that I'm coming with some crazy stuff. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, they knew. I mean, and, they knew that it was linked to the other one. I mean, and so today I said to Investigator Cooper, is this going to be changed to attempted homicide? And he said, yeah, it's an attempted 187. So I mean, they're still not hearing me. And today was the first time I told them that nobody ever came to the hospital bed, to the bed. I mean, and asked me anything. It's, there's no Columbo, no Elliot Ness, no Hitchcock at the end of the bed. Nothing. I mean, and then
Nobody came to her side to interview her when it happened. It sounds like the penal codes have changed in California. That's what it sounds like as to why they would change it from, I think, aggravated assault to attempted homicide, if I'm hearing that correctly. And that's, that can happen as well.
My calls were all unanswered. I mean, and my concerns were all avoided. I mean, and now there's 5 people dead.
Additional.
I mean, they didn't want to talk about. So who knows how many else? They didn't want to talk about it.
So take us through the process of now you're seeing these more recent homicides occur, and are you kind of noticing similarities with your experience, or how did you come to the conclusion to say, you know what, I feel like my experience was is part of this greater pattern? Okay, so I saw your public announcement, and it was just you. I mean, it was, and you were saying that, hey, this is what's going on, and you explained the circumstances, and then I got upset, and I put a post on Facebook. These aren't new circumstances. They're not new. I mean, and then I had to pray on it. Because I mean, let's face it, there's a serial killer out there. I mean, and I'm not dead. So I had to pray on that. I mean, but I knew that. I mean, it has to be told. Yeah.
I mean, and so I knew that by coming to you that you would let that be known. I mean, and add the 2 other people there. I mean, myself and the other victim. And I knew when I saw the image of the person from the back, even though I never seen their face, that was the person that tried to kill me.
So the person that's been released as the photograph and the video of the person of interest, you believe that is the person that shot you April 16th, 2021?
Well, that person is not changing their clothes for a year and a half. I mean,
what I mean is they look exactly what you remember.
I'm like, man, like, you don't want to get no new beanie, no
same type of clothing, the same build, the same height,
same. I mean, you just same everything. Like he just came out of and maybe he lives in a hole somewhere. I mean, I don't even know. I don't know.
So I know there's been speculation on, 5 of the 7 victims have been Mexican men. And I know that we asked about that, right? And you yourself admitted that you think that it's possible that the killer could have mistaken you in the dark.
I get mistaken for being, I mean, first of all, my hair was longer and it was in a braid, but I had a beanie on. I also had a hoodie on, and I also may have had my COVID mask on. But that being said, my complexion. I mean, I'm not. Maybe I had my COVID mask off because I think I was smoking a cigarette at that time. But the point, the point being is that I could easily be mistaken for a Mexican man at nighttime. I have been before, and my own cousins will laugh, like, you Mexican, you know what I mean? And so that could easily happen. I don't know if he's targeting just Mexican people or just targeting people that are homeless and recycling. I mean, I don't
We've
know.
confirmed at least 3 of the victims,
Yeah.
And you as a survivor, so 2, and you're the third, were homeless at the time of the shootings.
Yeah.
That's we've been able to confirm as from our indications. The other ones were not. So let's talk about where you're at now.
Okay.
What's going on with you now?
So remember when we talked about whether she was transgender and everything? It sounds like this attack happened in the dark. She happened to be maybe like from a distance or from whatever. She's wearing her COVID. You know, she wasn't identifiable when this kind of went down. So for those that were asking, I think that's kind of your answer, because there was a concern about him, or not him, or him or her, as far as who the serial killer is. Was it targeting specific people? It sounds like, I mean, he didn't know that was a woman. I'm not really sure, but just a little bit of insight as to that response. Yes, thank you for hitting that like button and subscribing. This is horrible treatment she suffered through, especially after being traumatized. I'm feeling for her. Yeah, RL, right? Thank you for subscribing to the 209 Times. Remember, 209 Times is they're a grassroots channel. They have a blog on Facebook. Make sure you guys check them out. And they do a lot of their reporting there, but they're gonna they're putting in the work. They're putting in this whole serial killer stuff together too. They got the, putting out the word out there, since law enforcement doesn't seem to kind of want to notify people. And I get it, but at the same time, this is too big not to notify. Just like the Golden State Killer, absolutely. The California police did not say anything for a while because they didn't want to cause fear. Yeah, right? And you see how many women were murdered, how many people were murdered around that time? For sure.
Well, now okay. So I continue to just let God guide me. Every day I give him everything. I'm just so I'm great. I don't want to get emotional again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, feel free.
I mean, it's
people need. I feel this is a really important story for people to know, for you to tell,
Yeah.
for people to hear, right? Because you are a 1 in a million. You're one of 7,
Yeah.
right? You survived. 6 other people did not.
Yeah.
And then you're 1 in a million to, regardless of this series of killings. I mean, it's not every day somebody survives being shot that many times.
Okay, so I'm first and foremost, I'm angry that there's 5 people that are dead after me.
Mm-hmm.
That angers me beyond how I was treated, because I feel like if they made it, that they still would have been treated the same way that I was treated. I mean, that's infuriating.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to be ignored and pushed aside, just like you're nothing. And if you didn't bring the story out, then and they survived, I'm convinced that they would have been treated that way. They didn't even want to admit that I was. I mean, and they're linked up. You know what I mean? So that being said, I'm sad about that. But where I'm at, I mean, in life, I mean, I've been sober since May 1st. I let God lead me every day. I'm here, but just by the grace of God, He saved me. Jesus is my best friend. I roll with him. I'm employed full time.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned you pay rent now.
Yeah, I mean, I pay rent. I pay taxes. You know what I'm saying? I'm growing my hair back. I mean, I had to cut my hair because I didn't have there was no medical help either. I mean, there was no psychological help. Jesus was everything. He was my counselor. He was he's just everything. When I asked him not to leave and be there with me, that's what he's done. And he promised me he wouldn't leave. I wouldn't leave you.
And when you mentioned your lack of mobility, that now you're recovering, I remember you saying it took you like 10 months to even get access to
physical therapy. Yeah. I mean, so I learned, when I was asking God, like, okay, well, how do I do this? What do I do? Then, believe it or not, He knows about Google. So if you, Google, and so I Googled doctors.
Is that why it starts with a G?
yeah, right. God got Google. So
Yeah, this woman had to find her own supports. That's what it sounds like, right? So again, the gun was linked to the other serial killings that are happening, or the other killings, excuse me, that are happening. I mean, it's weird because the media has given 2 different numbers. At first, I heard it was 7, then I heard it was 12, then I heard it was 10. There hasn't been a whole lot of like clarifying of the information. They are saying that the family, that they're linked to that family. I believe it's the family from Merced that's happening. Yeah, law enforcement treated her, the way, if law enforcement had treated her the way they would have, then maybe these other coups would have been prevented. Callie, that's what I'm saying, Callie Dime, that I wonder if they would have like actually taken this serious from the start, how much of this would have been prevented. Hey, Mel and NYC Reviews, welcome. Yeah, I hope she writes a book. I mean, this is like crazy that she had to find her own support and help throughout this. Can you guys imagine?
I Googled exercises for people that had a shot clavicle or broken clavicle and what to do with it. And so because I was letting it, what you don't do is you don't let it be stiff. You know what I mean? So I was able to work that out. And so by the time I got to therapy, it was just about I think I went like twice. I went like two or three times for half an hour. I mean, and you could tell they were just trying to bill you. You know what I mean? And I was like, I mean, come on, I'm already past all this part. So it was just to get like a little bit of strength back, for me to hear that, hey, can I move this however I want to? I don't have to be delicate with it. And they said, yeah. So I did. And then I'm not any kind of, I was having nightmares. So I had medication for nightmares. That's gone. I don't take medication for anxiety or depression. I'm completely 100% substance free, all by the grace of God. I mean, I have no cravings. It's all effortless. I mean, I cry a lot because I mean, I just get.
I can imagine you get emotional.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, I don't like. I mean, as vulnerable as you ever want to be is to be shot in the middle of the street. I mean, and to find out that it's not the worst thing about it. Getting shot is not the worst thing. But I mean, I don't want to be on. I mean, I'm a tank now. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, I don't want to cry in tank.
That's
you know
what
what I'm saying?
Call you now, right?
I mean, we kind of made that up. You know,
right.
Tank instead of Natasha because
if anybody deserves that nickname, I think it's
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I mean, a couple. I mean, in July, I had the car actually fell on me right here, and nothing broke. And I was like, God just got. I mean, the whole car was leaning on me right here. You know what I mean? Yeah. Changing the spare. I was like, he just got me all the way around. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I work full time. I'm happy. I'm married to to my best friend in 30 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I mean, when all this stuff happened, I had disconnected from my family because I wasn't, I was doing what I was doing. You know what I mean? So I hadn't seen my mom in like 7 years. She's my everyday, rock. You know what I mean? I mean, we're super close, almost as close as Jesus and I are. Yeah.
All right. How do you feel about now that a lot more has come to light in the media, both on our platform and now the mainstream media, national media? How do you feel now that you know more information and you're part of a bigger picture? How do you feel about the killer?
From the beginning of when I first got out of the hospital, I struggled because I felt like I was stabbing myself in the back because I found myself praying for this person. It would anger me. Mm-hmm. I would pray for him, you know what I mean? And I wanted them to have love and to and I truthfully, honestly, genuinely 100% forgive the person who shot me, because they I mean, I wanted to know that, I mean, in a strange kind of way, they saved my life. They were trying to destroy me, but they saved my life.
Well, that's definitely a interesting take on it.
I mean, I love the opportunity to tell them. I mean, if they would, the God is also there for them, and if they you could just all be behind them. You could turn yourself in. I mean, it sounds crazy. I mean, I'm not turning myself in. You could, and God is for everybody. I mean, he forgives. He's just, but he forgives.
Anything else you would like to tell the audience or leave them with? You have an amazing story, not just in under the circumstances of this serial killer case, but your survival and not just your survival, but also your recovery with even addiction and homelessness, right? So you have an amazing story.
Thank you.
Most definitely. Is there anything else you would like to?
Yeah, definitely. Sounds like this situation right here kind of like helped her get clean. That's what she had shared earlier. I mean, it sounds like it was a lot. It does feel a little segmented, and I would say, and I have a timeline that was created by another podcaster on the serial killings and stuff in the area. But here's the deal: it's so confusing because the way in which the major media outlets are reporting this, it sounds like there might be more. So yeah, the homeless population is being targeted in addition to other families and people. So I'm just kind of curious to know, like, well, what don't we or do we know that would connect them? Is there a signature card that was left? I'm just curious.
Share with anybody that might be listening right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you I mean, I hate to say don't trust the police, but I mean, if you were in a situation to where, like, you've been homeless here in Stockton and you got hurt, you got shot, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think you should come forward. Mm-hmm. I mean, and know that, I'm trying to speak for people that are, they're no longer here.
So to pause that real fast, you actually think it's possible there may be more victims who have been shot, survived, but have not come forward?
No, and they're gonna get treated like shit. I mean, that's a deterrent. You don't want to go. You don't want to go. I mean, I kept myself silent until God got me ready to where I was in a space where I could, speak. Mm-hmm. I mean, and not be, treated that way. So, I mean, I have no doubt that there's somebody that's been, shot and either thought that because of their lifestyle that they deserved it, or, I mean, or knew that the police weren't going to do anything. They could have heard about me and know that, okay, well, no, they didn't do nothing for her. I mean, they were going to try to hide this. I mean,
Yeah.
even as far as today, lying saying, that, I mean, I'm trying to get a hold of you. No, you haven't. I've had the same number. So, I mean, what I have to tell, I would tell people that are listening, trust, 209 times and stay off that chief because he's tripping.
So do you feel you were victimized not only by the killer, but also in a secondary way by the system?
The system was the worst. I mean, I've said it plenty of times. I mean, I'd rather have gotten shot 10 more times than to ever deal with Stockton PD again.
Wow.
I mean, and that's not all the police officers. Because I'm not assuming that everybody knew. I mean, there's people on that force that, that I mean, I'm sure are beautiful people that want to do their job.
So do you feel in the jaws of the system, you were kind of the ball was dropped.
Complete failure
in your case.
Complete miscarriage of justice. Complete failure.
So do you feel like these are things that could definitely be fixed and improved for if anybody in the future would go through a similar, God forbid, go through a similar situation?
Yeah, which is another reason why I'm here. I mean, I knew that I had to get myself right and get that sobriety under my belt and get all that kind of stuff working so that I would be listened to, because I don't ever want to happen to anybody else.
Yeah, let's hope it doesn't happen to anybody else.
It was far worse than being shot.
And as of today, there currently are 6 victims and 1 survivor, right? So let's hope that's the extent to which it goes, and this person is caught or turns himself in, as you would hope.
Yeah. Each and every one of those, each and every one of those victims, or they meant something. They're somebody's something.
Yeah, and I think it's important for you telling your story today, not just for the amazing context of it, but I think also to humanize the fact that these 6 other victims were individuals that mattered to their families, and that they were people as well.
I mean, I don't even know.
Lady Webbs is talking about the victimology. The victimology is interesting here, right? This is why I think, because of the way in which she describes the way she was shot, it almost sounds like she was target practice. That maybe, and this is just my assumption, so don't quote me here, but I honestly think because it does, if she was target practice for something else, if that makes sense, right? Because the way in which she describes the gun, and how she was shot, and it was an unprovoked attack, like she was just a target for practice to whatever other killing this person was going to do, if that makes sense.
They matter to me.
Yeah, I understand part of the system that you felt let you down as well was victim's witness.
Yes.
That there's supposed to be a fund. You applied for $2,000.
Well, what they do is they part of their program, they give you they offer you counseling. They offer to pay your medical bills. They give you relocation fees if you relocation assistance. I'm sorry, up to $2,000. Should you provide them with any kind of receipts that you may have used. That you provide them with the reason why you need to leave. So I had to prove to the Stockton Police Department that it was in my best interest, whether it be physically or mentally, to move off of the streets and into a motel room so that they can reimburse me the $2,000.
Okay.
They weren't interested in trying to help me get that letter, and so then when I moved from there to where I currently live, I tried again. I mean, and they weren't interested in the victim witness, my advocate Andrea. Nothing. I mean, and to the point to where she didn't communicate with me, to where I went in there 2 months ago and she didn't even know who the heck I was. I was right in front of her. She was like, Natasha, oh, it's you. I'm like, yeah, it's me.
Well, we thanks to a special donor, who desires to remain anonymous, right? We have a special gift for you that Mr. Frank Gallardo has generously facilitated.
Wow.
Natasha, we on behalf of 209 Times, we cannot tell you in words how proud we are of Stocktonian Natasha Tank Latour. And God bless you. God bless you for having the courage to share your light and love and compassion and even forgiveness.
Yeah.
The things that you shared with us today were incredible. Motek and I have been having some private conversations with some people that we trust explicitly, and they decided to help us help you. Here's a little something you can open up right here for the camera.
Thank you.
And, I think we wanted to wish you a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
And you can
wow.
open that up too. You can read that.
On behalf of 209 Times, we want to thank you for your bravery and your commitment to the truth. You're a survivor. and a role model for others seeking a better life. Please use this donated money to improve your life. And I can't wish that.
Yeah, we gonna take care of you.
Yeah, thank
know
you.
what I mean? So the system may have
Yeah.
failed you, but we're making sure to fill in that gap for you.
And I got bands.
That's for
Yeah.
you for your
Thank you so much.
fees that you need to
Relocate.
relocate.
Thank you so. But just to show me, I have relocated.
Okay.
I'm off the. I'm going to be honest about that. I'm off the street.
Victims Witness should have taken care of.
Yeah.
Thank you. Taken care of.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Isn't that amazing? Shout out to her, Natasha. I just like even watching her, she's like, listen, like you could tell she's nervous, right? But she's, getting all this support, right, that she didn't necessarily receive. Shout out to her. And I mean, I just feel so bad for anybody that's homeless has been treated that way by police because they're homeless. Like it's just crazy ridiculous to me how all of that kind of went down for her. But kudos to her for speaking out. And the 209 Times, it's a very grassroots channel. Their Facebook page is a lot bigger, so make sure you guys check them out. They're called the 209 Times.
Can I hug you?
Of course. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's awesome.
So that's really all I can think about.
Should I have done that? I'm sorry, should I mean, I don't have bands. I'm getting rid of I'm walking out of here with nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, thank you so much. This was a very healing experience. I needed it.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a little emotional. I didn't want to get that way, but
I think a lot of people in our community do, and
yeah.
Including a person that's going around killing innocent people for no reason.
We gotta pray for him.
Natasha, when I heard that she didn't get the 2,000 from, the reason I kept asking, like, could you explain to me what victim witness was supposed to do?
Yeah.
And when I found out that if there was anybody deserving of this money, it was you.
Thank you.
So made a couple phone calls and made it happen.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really she probably won't take it. But I really like to give it, to my mom. I mean, she helped me out the whole entire way.
You
Yeah.
do whatever you like.
Yeah. She'll tell me to pay my rent for a few months. Yeah.
Maybe you could have a big turkey.
Of course, a huge turkey, a huge one.
Yeah.
A huge one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Natasha, we appreciate you coming in.
Thank you so much.
Again, congratulations on being a survivor.
Thank you
for sharing your story.
Yeah.
On
Thank you for putting it
behalf
out
of
there.
209 Times. We would like to thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah.
And I hope you inspire others. And it's definitely something that should be acknowledged and admired and celebrated. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And
What do you guys think on the chat? I mean, this is a very interesting situation. Clearly, this serial killer is a developing story. I'm going to try to share with you guys a little timeline that somebody wrote on a podcast, if I can do that. Baby Bunny's awake. Yes, Mommy. So we're going to have to head out pretty soon. Here we go. Yay. Look, see, I thought this was a fabulous kind of timeline as well as breakdown. So you have somebody wrote it from, I think it was who is it? True Crime Replay. Okay, let me get this little banner off here because I know it's too much writing. I'm gonna get the comment down. True Crime Replay did this little Stockton serial killer. So I mean, it stretches from April 10th of 2021. You have a Hispanic male, white male, Hispanic male, a lot of males. So I'm just kind of wondering, like somebody said on the comments, maybe did they think that she was a male and they just shot it, like they couldn't see her. They used her as like target practice type of situation. I don't know. Yes, thank you, Revival, for the Venmo. And thank you, everybody else that sent super chats, cash apps, all that other stuff. All that goes towards the channel. And it helps us, right? Little things here and there, paying a bill and whatnot. So thank you for that. Thank you so much, guys. So I'm going to leave you guys with this. Let me know what you guys think about this interview. What do you think about this developing story? And, shout out to everybody. We talked a little bit about sobriety. Shout out to everyone that has stayed sober and that any uphill battle that you might have gone through as it pertains to sobriety. It's definitely a long road for that. And so you say that, course, shout out to you. Okay. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I gotta head out because baby bunny's awake. And when she's awake, we just gotta go because she's just so noisy. Thank you guys. Rabbits out.